I'm contaminated. Okay, everyone. Hi. Welcome to my life. So, if you don't know, if you haven't been keeping up to date with me, I came to Korea. I came to Korea on the 15th of this month. And when you come to Korea, you have to quarantine for 7 days. I came here for a nose job. So when you get to Korea, it's a mandatory 7 days of quarantine. No matter who you are, any foreigner that flies into Korea, you have to quarantine, okay? It used to be 2 weeks and then they knocked it down to a week. That's why me and Lexi decided to come now. Obviously, you have to do a PCR test to fly, obviously, to get on a plane. Negative, obviously, because I got on a plane. And then on the second day of your quarantine, they do a PCR test. Negative. And they also do a PCR test on the day before you get out of quarantine. The day before. So on my 6th day of my 7-day quarantine, I tested positive. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's right. I tested positive on my 6th day of quarantine. And also in Korea, when you fly here, you have to fill in an online form every day. Again, no matter who you are. And with symptoms. So if you have no symptoms, you just say no symptoms. And on the second day, I started getting a sore throat. Yeah, just a sore throat. So I noted it down. The doctor called me and said, yo, G, what's this sore throat you're talking about? And I said, do you know what? I don't think it's that bad. I was like, it's all right. Because he was like, do you want medicine for it? And I was like, nah, I'm good. And I also had a sore throat on the 4th day, 5th day, everything. And I was messaging my friends and I was like, it's so funny because I replied to a TikTok comment because I done a TikTok, G Nels on TikTok. I replied to a TikTok comment because it was like, oh, you sound ill while you're in quarantine, lol. And I was like, honey. I was like, I just get ill from the plane. I was like, I just get ill from the plane, okay? Like, it's not a big deal. Next day, positive. They called me up, okay? The phone rang, all right? The phone rang in my hotel. Ring, 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 ring. And the only time it rings is if it's bad, you know? Like, if it's a bad sign. And so, ring, ring, ring. And I was sat at my desk, and I was like, fuck. So I went and picked up the phone, and I was like, yeah, ma'am, you've tested positive for COVID. You'll be taken to hospital when a bed comes available for you. I'll be taken where, sorry? It's mandatory that you have to go to hospital. Okay. I was like, okay, and when will this be? Whenever a bed becomes available. What they said, because I was like, okay, well, because I reported my sore throat 4 days before, I was like, maybe I'm negative now, you know? Maybe, like, I'm negative. I've only cried once, okay? And I cried today at the thought of seeing Lexi. I only cried once, which was to Talia, the moment I found out that I had COVID, and then the second time I cried was today, okay? I've only cried twice, guys. And then they say an ambulance will come pick you up, and sorry, an ambulance is going to come and pick me up. Also, I'm someone that's not scared of stuff, okay? I don't get scared of stuff.
Rafie, wait. I nearly cried.
I'm very confident doing stuff on my own, figuring stuff out, but I get very socially embarrassed or anxious. So the thought of an ambulance coming to a hotel and me walking on I was literally, like, the thought of that made me want to, like, I think that's what I cried over. The next day, they called me and said, Georgina, we have a bed for you. You'll be picked up at 1 p.m. I had to put on a full hazmat suit. If you don't follow my Instagram, here is me, ready to go. Look at me. Very stylish, very nice. So I calmed myself down. Do you know what? It's gonna be fine. You're gonna get on the ambulance. They're gonna talk you through about the situation, where you're gonna go, what's gonna be the next steps, okay? I get on the ambulance. No one speaks to me. They just say, in. He kept being like, in. So I was like, so I picked up my suitcase, put it in, and he was like, no, in. And I was like, what do you want to go in? Also, to make it worse, they put the sirens on. It was an hour-and-a-half journey, and they put the sirens on. So I was sat in the back of the ambulance in my full hazmat suit, sweating like a motherfucker with the sirens on full blast, just looking out the window, like, I'm not going to think about this because I am going to have a mental breakdown. There were so many times where I was like, should I grab my phone? But I was so scared I was going to get told off. So I just sat there and observe the outside. I couldn't even look at the outside because of the like, what do you call it? The windows are like, you can't see in, but you can kind of see out kind of thing, you know? And then I get here and it's actually, the people that work here, oh my God, they are so lovely, like so lovely. But when you get to the hospital, you go for a medical exam and then you go for a psychiatric exam. And I don't know if you guys have known me for long enough, but I have a few mental health issues, okay? It panicked them a little bit. I don't know why they got so scared. I think they're just very cautious and they were very worried that I would suffer a lot in here. I think the interpretation got miscrossed and like they were worried that I may be still suffering. But they're so lovely, man. They're so lovely. I've been in one room for 2 weeks. I've been in 2 different rooms. One was a hotel room, one was a hospital room. And before anyone says, this is a recovery center, okay? I did think they didn't tell me it was going to be just a room like this. I generally thought I'd be on like a hospital ward, which I wouldn't say I would prefer. I think I would have just preferred it in a way of like, I would have seen someone's face, you know? Do you know what I mean? Also, I've never had COVID before. This is the first time I've caught it, which is kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. I just find that kind of crazy. Like, I didn't catch it flying to America. I didn't catch it going to like Paris. I don't know. And then Korea, I got it. And Korea's like the most safe place. Who catches COVID in quarantine? Who catches COVID on their 6th day of quarantine? How? I am 3 times vaccinated, by the way, but I only had a sore throat. Genuinely, I haven't coughed once. I have no cough. I have no loss of appetite. I had a sore throat. I only caught a fever in here on the 3rd and 4th day, which is weird. Like, I think it was more cabin fever. I don't know if that's a real thing. I'm not a doctor. Please don't say that. Like even when I went for my x-ray the other day, I was like 36. Like 36.6 or whatever, and then I come back to the room, and because we have to do medical checks, and then I come back and my temperature's like 38.4, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? I get my COVID test results in the morning, but the hospital gives me a certificate, a certified Korean CDC, which is a document that can be accepted as proof of a negative test. So even if I test positive, I can still fly home. But I'm just waiting for my surgery, because obviously I came out to Korea for a nose job, to see whether my surgery will accept that for me to have the surgery. So I may be staying in Korea for another week by myself, which is going to be interesting.